Hello, good day, and welcome here in Venture Capital TV. I'll be your moderator today, Javier. And like every session, we want to bring you the innovation, the technology, and the solutions you want to hear about. And also, very important, you get to hear it directly from the CEOs or the co-founders of the project. And best of all, you can directly ask them any question. All questions are welcome. If you have any comment, please put it down, send it to us. This session is live across 5 media outlets. And today I'm very glad to present a great project, Gamestate, represented by the co founder, Ricardo Ferreira. Ricardo, good day. How are you? And also we have Peter Hartzell. Peter, also
Hello.
welcome, co
Hi,
founder.
Howdy.
Javier. Good to see you.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Very happy to have you here. And we're going to have a very interesting show. And just before we start with this show, I wanted to let our viewers know that they can see our previous shows and content by visiting latoken.com/VCTV/shows. They can follow us on our socials like Facebook and Twitter. And if they're watching us on YouTube, they can subscribe and always be informed of great content opportunities and even giveaways. Also, as a reminder, anything mentioned here is not any type of financial advice. Do your research before making a decision. It's your choices and your responsibility. Well, gentlemen, with that said, I think we can start this interesting interview. Gentlemen, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and the team? Who would like to take that question first?
Oh, sorry, I had a bit of audio trouble. Could you repeat the question for me? I actually had both of the video streams live at the same time,
Sure,
having a lot
no,
of
no
echo.
problem. It's all right. If you could tell us a little bit about yourselves and the team.
Sure. Okay, cool. The team is basically a globally distributed team of professionals. We are mainly Gen Xers and millennials. We all have business or finance experience and solid family grounding, with a passion to build legacy and generational wealth, not only for ourselves, but for the greater Gamestate community and partners. The core team consists of 3 co-founders, myself, Ricardo, Peter, and Locke, and then expanding into a power team of business professionals, developers, and advisors. Um, I've personally been in crypto since 2016. I started off mining Ethereum with home GPU mining rigs, and then I got a bit disillusioned when the Ethereum DAO hack happened. And then I diverted my focus to, believe it or not, the Steam blockchain back in the day,
Mhm.
and built a few community projects there and became a witness, which is like a validator, for several years. And then when Hive forked from Steam in 2020, I also broke away and co-founded a Steam fork known as blurt.blog, which is the only fork of Steam with all the user balances still intact. Um, and In addition to that, I'm also a major co-founder of Notional Ventures, which is a prominent Cosmos ecosystem validator and a blockchain dev shop. We validate around 22 chains in the Cosmos ecosystem. And my traditional background is varied with experience in telecommunications, manufacturing, real estate, portfolio management, and trusteeships, as well as finance and insurance. So that's basically me. I'll let Peter introduce himself, and then I'll introduce the rest of the team after that.
Yeah, thanks, Ricardo. So it's probably a good idea to start with how Ricardo and I met. We got introduced by a now mutual acquaintance and also Ricardo's business partner in Notional Ventures, Jacob. And we both wanted to do a project in the crypto space, and that was really my first foray into blockchain after having spent the last couple of years looking into fractionalizing real estate, but not concluding that it was not a technology issue, but rather a regulatory issue.
Mhm.
And in addition to that, I have founded and still own and operate a retail business in Southeast Asia, selling jewelry, and also a business that develops renewable energy, solar and wind projects also in Southeast Asia. And prior to that, I worked in fast-moving consumer goods for 4 years, right when I arrived in Vietnam. So I've lived in Vietnam since 2010. I am Danish, and before that, when I was in Denmark, I was in real estate and have a background in finance and business administration.
Cool, thank you, Peter. I'll
Thank you.
just do a quick intro of the rest of the team. So we have a third co-founder that's not with us today. His name is Locke, and he joined us a bit later. He's a key person who has been with me in crypto projects in the past and involved in blockchain project management, marketing, communications, and advisory of various fintech startups. And in addition to that, also has operated consumer-focused drop shipping enterprises and product brand development. So it's basically 3 main founders, and then it extends into a power team, which includes Sean and Thomas, who have joined our team, and both are highly driven and experienced in mergers and acquisitions and strategic partnerships. Thomas has spent 11 years at IBM, which is highly valuable to us, having had experience in such a large IT-driven corporation.
Mhm.
Our dev team is actually a Vietnamese powerhouse with access to over 400 developers on demand, with
Yeah.
skill sets and aspects of project development, including game development, digitization of historical monuments, and military VR simulations, which ties in with the current military situation.
It does.
Uh, yeah.
Definitely.
Uh, uh, maybe Gamestate can basically help out in the war effort after all, eh?
Yeah. There you go.
um,
New
and
revenue stream. Oh,
yeah,
great. Thank you. Okay, please go ahead, Ricardo.
Yeah, so I was about to say, as you know, that the Vietnamese region is becoming renowned for game and blockchain development.
Exactly.
So partnering with a Hanoi-based dev shop was probably the right move to make. And lastly, I must just make notes. We do have several advisors. One of the most noteworthy and key advisor is Eric. He had partnered with me previously on other projects. I introduced him to Splinterlands, which is a popular NFT-based card game, like basically Magic's the Gathering, but on the blockchain type thing. And he then became CTO there, and as such, Gamestate has a close anchor partnership with Splinterlands, and Eric will work closely with us to integrate aspects of Splinterlands into our metaverse, including NFT marketplace integration, esports events, and Splinterlands wearables and avatars. So yeah, that's um, one of the cool members of our team that I just wanted to
Great. Yeah.
introduce there. Yeah.
I was reviewing your team members in your website as well. Yeah, it's quite good team you have there. Um, to continue on, before we go into very specifics of Game State, can you tell us a little bit about the market you are in? Because you're dealing with NFTs, but it's also part of the metaverse. Can you explain a little bit that part, the market, the overview of the market that
Yeah,
that you
sure, sure. Actually, I think Peter would be the right one to tackle that one. Would you do that for
So
us, Peter?
sure. Initially, Ricardo and I we met on around the idea of letting creators and how should I say, asset owners monetize their own content, and what we envisioned initially was a platform for athletes to create and monetize their own content, just like they have merchandise, physical merchandise today. And and really to try and give back or give the athletes the power or some of the power back, and also be able to connect more intimately with their fans, so the who buys their merchandise. And we did some research, and we had calls with various interested parties, and of course we had already an idea that there would be a lot of entrenched networks and actors around these athletes that would, how should I say, protect them from an idea that would empower them in terms of monetizing their own IP. And we basically gave up on that because we did not want to spend our time forging relationships with all these actors and networks around the athletes. We want to work directly with the content creators. Now we were focusing on a few sports from the onset, and one of these were, of course, gaming. And after a couple of weeks, we realized that it would be much better to focus exclusively on gaming for various reasons. The obvious one is that gaming today is already bigger than sports and Hollywood movies combined, and there is no doubt that this will continue to grow. And I mean, from a base of, say, half the world's population who are today in playing games in to various degrees. A lot of it, of course, casual gaming, but more and more are spending a lot of time playing computer games. And then, of course, the pandemic and people being confined to their homes really accelerated this further and accentuated this conclusion. And so what we saw is that social relations in the future will not only be forged by physical meeting, but can also be forged online. I mean, take Ricardo and I are a good instance, and the co-founders really of the project. We know each other quite well, but we have never met physically. We sit
Really?
quite far from each other, but you know, we are close enough, and the screen, once you accept it, is a very good way of getting to know people. And we think that this has really just been a mental barrier, much more than an actual obstacle, right? It's really been a I'd say philosophical resistance to letting computers and the internet take over this last say bastion of physical meetings. So we don't see that they will replace each other. They will coexist and enhance each other, and I think really put us all closer together. But the implications for Gamestate is, of course, that in gaming, this behavior has existed for decades. If you take a number of the most prominent people in the gaming space, they will all have stories about how they connected with others at the very early days online. Whom they had never met in various internet fora. So this behavior already exists in gaming, and so with this latest pandemic, we think that this behavior is also something that is increasingly being adopted by the general non-gaming population, and also it has become socially acceptable. And so there's a social element that's really important for Gamestate, and that is of course the online gathering and discovery in the metaverse, if you will. At the same time, 2020 and 2021 were the breakthrough years of blockchain gaming, and really it was play to earn that stole a lot of the limelight. I still see that there's a lot of hype around it, but I think it has also died down as some of the blockchain play to earn blockchain games have experienced running into how should I say, difficulties around the economics of the token in their games. We see that the blockchain has the potential to go way beyond this, and actually the biggest economy in gaming today is actually gamers buying artifacts in primarily legacy games. So today is already a more than a $100 billion per year economy. So this is really where we see that a lot of the spending is going, and of course where there is a very big problem, if you will, to be solved, and that is of course the inability for the gamers and the buyers to take their artifacts with them. So an artifact bought in Counter-Strike can only be used in Counter-Strike, and should you leave Counter-Strike one day, your artifacts remain in Counter-Strike, right? With blockchain, it opens up an opportunity for the gamers to bring these artifacts on to other games, and so basically the blockchain will give back the ownership to those who create the content, obviously by allowing them to charge royalties on their creations, and of course for the buyers and owners to bring them to other games. And as such, we see that the bigger implications of this is not for crypto to be a store of value, but rather a store of culture. A lot of gaming is not about making money. A lot of gaming is really just about having a good time, socializing, and then increasingly there is also a competitive element to it.
Yep.
And then as we see more and more time being spent online, we also think that communities will continue to blossom online, right? And so all of a sudden, even narrow interests can all of a sudden create big communities when you can socialize and rally around this narrow interest with the entire world. So that's really the bigger implication of what we see with blockchain and this move to online socializing.
Yeah, Peter, I would have like a few questions for you about GameFi, the future, and so on.
Yeah,
but I don't want to take away time from your project.
No, that's actually, okay. Let's take the questions. We're very happy to answer questions. I think that will give the better insights, really.
Yeah, definitely. To our viewers, again, please, if you have any questions, feel free to send it to us. We will address them here. And or you have any comments, then you just simply have to go to the comment section and then post it there, and we will take care of that. To move on, one thing I wanted to show our viewers, and I was actually quite impressed by the high quality of graphics that you have in your website. So I took the liberty to download one of the videos that I would like to show to our viewers today, and within we can kick off the actual questions that we have for Gamestate, if it's fine with you.
Sure.
Great. Let's have a look at it.
Welcome to the Megaverse. We are Gamestate, universal, immutable gaming profiles, blockchain and legacy games, cross-platform compatible, NFT badges, achievements and awards, epic leaderboards, the ultimate in bragging rights, interactive marketplace for distribution and discovery, create, sell, earn, avatars, games, hardware, music, real estate, cars, endless possibilities, quests, tournaments, challenges. Level up your avatar. Mega sponsored rewards, hyped rocket launchpad, initial game offerings, development and accelerator support, airdrop to real active ranked players, in-world advertising matrix. Plug into our ad share network to earn a share of ad rewards. Multiple words interconnected with digital highways. Diverse economies. Interconnected worlds. One megaverse. Gamestate. One.
The Megaverse. I like that. Is that a new word?
Yeah, actually, we coined that already last year, probably about October last year.
Well, you better copyright it.
Yeah, I think it's really copyrighted, but not for this particular use. And it depends on which country.
One thing I like to do here in the show is to ask the projects for an elevator pitch. So basically, imagine Ricardo, Peter, that we bump in the street, we're old friends, we haven't seen each other for a while, and you want to tell me what the project is about within 2 minutes. Okay, the whole project.
Sure.
Like imagine
yeah.
I'm very limited knowledge in blockchain, and then explain to me what is Gamestate within 2 minutes, please. So
Sure,
whoever
I'll
wants to
take that
take
one.
it.
Sure. So Gamestate is basically the central nexus hub for all things gaming and metaverse. It unites brands under one overarching multi-blockchain interoperable megaverse, right? So it's basically multiple metaverses connected under one roof. Here, gamers and fans can meet and discover new games, communities, guilds, products, and services, while setting the stage for an interconnected eventverse catering for live performances, product launches, corporate events, and esports tournaments. Finally, the use state is a unified gaming achievements profile, allowing gamers to display their achievements and proficiencies while giving other gamers and fans a meaningful and relevant way to discover and evaluate games they are not currently familiar with. Essentially, social-driven discovery.
Okay. Wow, pretty good. Thank you. And you did it under 2 minutes.
Cool.
Now that's efficiency.
I was mentally timing it.
Thank you, Ricardo, for that. Because yes, it is. Now it's very clear, and actually, why you term it the megaverse. So basically, you have, as you said, different kind of like sub
metaverses and games
within your ecosystem.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect for that. And now to dig further in, I would like to talk a little bit about the token, because I know you have a dual token system. So how does the token get involved in the whole project and ecosystem, especially having two tokens?
Yeah, sure. So Gamestate has a dual token system, initially launched on the Polygon chain and bridging to other blockchains over time. We have a commercial token, which is the state token, STATE, which is the payment rails of the metaverse, and the pre-sale and public launch token that will be featured on the Copper Launch Liquidity Bootstrapping event, which is our main sort of TGE event. The state token will basically be the main token for staking and liquidity provision. The fees and commissions token of the in-game marketplaces, and for the facilitation of advertising spend across our metaverse-wide assets such as LCD displays, in transports, heads-up displays, and wearable branding campaigns. You may have seen the ad share network being mentioned in that video that you just showed. There's also the second experience token, which is GXP, which can only be earned via activity and gameplay within the metaverse, such as partner-sponsored quests or daily activity cards. GXP will basically be non-transferable and lives and dies with the player's blockchain address, adding experience levels to their gaming profile. Both GXP and state token holders will be able to participate in governance because we feel strongly that both investors as well as gamers should have the value, should be able to add value to the ecosystem, and both should have a say in the future. So it's very important that both players and those who have invested in the token in a monetary fashion are able to participate in governance of Gamestate. The GXP holders will also benefit from targeted drops from our sponsoring partners who may want to drop on active gamers based on the experience and achievement levels that they might have. So yeah, that's the purpose of the GXP token, is to basically give insights to the participation and activity of the players.
Thank you, Ricardo, for that. And for our viewers, I would strongly recommend you please visit the website Gamestate One, in which you can see their pitch deck, the meta paper, how to get started. You have all the social platforms. And again, if you want to get in contact with them, please visit them on Twitter. The handle is Gamestate_1. Please get yourself familiar with the project, educate yourself, learn about it, so you can get more involved. We also thank you very much. We're getting some questions that I'm going to address later. I just want to touch one last topic about the token. If you can please explain, what are the benefits for investors? What can investors expect when they're going to invest in your token?
Sure. Well, I'm not going to say only the token. I'm going to say with regards to investing in the community and investing in the idea. So basically, investing in state is not so, as much investing in a token. It's investing in an experience and in a pioneering shift of social behavior into online interaction. So GameState aims to be the forefront of metaverse and GameFi concepts. And as they evolve into the future, we plan not only meet the future head on, we plan to build it for our players and partners. So with every investment into the state token, you're enabling development of yet another piece of the megaverse. So don't see it as a token investment, see it as investing in soon to be pervasive technology and social experiences. We also already have an MVP, which is a minimum viable product of an esports stadium that has MetaMask integration and NFT access control already. So it's easy to provide ticketing for events. And we plan to start the eventverse journey from this genesis point, hosting tournaments, TEDx type corporate roadshows, and live music events. So being a stakeholder means you'll benefit from the synergies that every partner project brings to the collective. It's very likely there'll also be NFT drops and token airdrops from integration partners, and from expansion to other blockchain with community-specific tokens airdropping back to the OG stakeholders. Okay, and then finally, from a DeFi perspective, we have completed our seed round with Splinterlands community, and the pre-sale round is currently open until we have our launchpad event mid-March with Gravity Finance. We have also been selected to be curated on Copper Launch, which is a very awesome accolade. It's basically a Dutch auction of price discovery, and the projects that perform based on copper are the ones that are curated. So we have been very pleased to be selected for curation. The launch event will be coupled with liquidity staking on Gravity Finance, and hopefully on Alchemist's Crucible platform, which is a sibling of Copper Launch. Crucible should have completed their Polygon integration by then, I believe. And following that, we'll be listing on QuickSwap and Uniswap, and native staking will be enabled in the smart contract. So stakeholders will be able to benefit from staking rewards as well.
Okay. Thank you, Ricardo. One question for our viewers who are not familiar.
Sure.
What does it mean that you have been selected for curation?
Yes, sure. So on the Copper Launch platform, there are basically projects that are unlisted and unvetted and unverified. And then there are ones that are curated by Balancer Intern. Now, Balancer Intern is a third-party curator that interviews the projects and the teams and does certain amounts of due diligence on his part, and their team then decide whether the projects are good enough to be curated.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Great. I would like now to post one of the questions of our viewers, and I think Peter, this question is more addressed to you that you answered at the beginning. Najo is asking, when you say the gaming world has overtaken the world of sport and movies, can you elaborate more on that, please?
Yeah, well, there are there are really two ways of looking at it, and the obvious measure is to look at the spending in each of those industries. And initially, we looked at the spending and saw that gaming was already commanding a bigger global spending than sports and Hollywood movies. The other thing is when you then dive deeper into it and look at eyeballs and mind share and time spent on it, you also realize that gaming is much more pervasive and really a much bigger part of many people's lives. I think we've all seen or even ourselves played played games on our smartphones, maybe at home even, right? So there are of course various levels of engagement with gaming, but the time spent on gaming. So aside from the pure economic side of it, the time spent on gaming and the mind share that gaming commands globally is already much bigger, and we believe that that will continue to grow as as we increasingly move online and spend more time in front of computers, be they a laptop or tablets or smartphones or whatever it is we're interacting with.
Thank you, Peter, for that. Um, Now, a next question I have is a little bit tricky because I know everything is changing all the time, especially technology, behaviors, regulation, and it's always hard to forecast what's going to happen in 1 year. But my question is, where do you think the project in Gamestate is going to be in the next 3 years?
Sure. So in 3 years from now, we expect to see Gamestate in a very strong position as one of the most successful decentralized metaverse projects in the industry. At this point in time, we will have a huge lineup of cryptocurrency and blockchain gaming projects integrated in both the Eventverse Stadium and the larger Gamestate Megaverse. Uh, we would have integrated not only gaming partners, but also businesses and merchants of any kind wanting to host events or reach their customers through virtual interaction. One of our strategic points is that we want to reach out to local and global businesses and help them get onto the metaverse and help them to integrate into GameState as basically the main directory of um, the virtual space, the virtual yellow pages, if you will.
Hmm, hmm.
um, Beyond that, we will basically have implemented a series of successful launchpad events for blockchain games and decentralized cryptocurrency projects. And other metaverses will also be looking to GameState for interoperability and for pioneering standards in the virtual and blockchain space. We are always researching new technologies and new standards on how to do things, and we would like to share them with others and have the information share um, be a two-way street as well and shared with all communities.
Okay, thank you. And I know how it's a bit hard to forecast within the next 3 years, but okay, you guys did it. Well done. One question I had, because we're getting a lot of comments from your community. It's quite widespread. Where's your main community from geographically?
Okay, so uh, geographically, I would say um, we have a fair amount in the Asian area. Vietnam, our developers are from there. Also, we bootstrapped a lot of our community from the other project that I co-founded, which is blurt.blog, and those communities are quite widespread, but with a focus on South American countries like Venezuela.
Mhm.
We have Germany. We have also India as well. Um, and yeah, so I think it's quite varied in terms of that. Also UK a little bit, and a little bit of the US. So a bit of a mixed bag in terms of community, I'd say.
It's a really widespread, huh?
Yeah.
Just like the
Very
team.
good. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Very good. Those are the best. Now, we obviously there are other metaverses out there that are also dealing with NFTs and gaming. I do believe each project is different. And now I would like to ask you, what makes your project different, also so that investors can move forward and invest in it?
Sure. Peter, do you want to take this one?
So, I mean, what makes our project different? So the way that we see our project differentiating itself from other metaverses is really the emphasis on the social element, and this our attempt at creating a rally point for gamers and fans. So people who are interested in gaming, and of course there is an economic element in this, and that is still our idea of letting both creators and buyers and owners of NFTs um, uh, retain the value of them, but also and more importantly to really fulfill this socializing element. So be a place where people want to be and to meet other like-minded people in their own community, and then in time also discover new communities. So a very important point that we haven't touched on too much is really discovery. Ricardo mentioned socially driven discovery. If you look at today, the way that search works, or let's take search as a good example, and then we can move to discovery. So we all know that Google is the gold standard, and I think it's even been added to Webster's dictionary as a term for searching. Right, you're Googling, but it only works if you know what you're looking for. So when we move to discovery, so finding something that you don't know what is, but could pique your interest, or perhaps even draw you into a new community, or draw you to a new area of interest. This has not been cracked yet, and we see that this discovery on many levels. Of course, all of the big e-commerce players have for years and years tried to crack discovery. We all know these. Below recommendations below your purchases, when after you click buy on Amazon, other people bought, and then you get these recommendations, and sometimes they hit the head on the nail, but other times they are completely off, right? Because they are only based on what other people have bought.
Yeah, that's not
So
discovery, right?
So I mean, it works, but still there's a lot of misses, right? And again, we see that discovery is really the next frontier of the internet, right? So there is already so much knowledge that no person can possibly, I mean, not even scratch the surface of all the knowledge and all the possible interests you could have or be interested in without knowing them, right? So that's next what we see as the next frontier. And I mean, building on what Ricardo was saying about Gamestate in 3 years, is that we also want to be the place where people go for discovery inside gaming. So when people want to socialize, they go to Gamestate within a gaming community, or with gaming as the central tenet. And then also discovery. How do you discover new games? How do you discover new communities? So again, online communities that are created, if you will, metaverses, right? The social wraps around a game. How do you discover them? So that's really the big vision with Gamestate. And these U-state profiles, the unified gaming achievement profile, will really be they will be the how could you say, the key point in discovery, right? So we are going to build a discovery and recommendation engine around these U-state profiles. We think that we have a pretty good philosophical idea of how to formulate relevance in terms of discovery within this narrow gaming universe, and that's really what we will use the Gamestate or the U-state profiles for going forward. So we also see that Gamestate will deliver some revolutionary, we believe, or a revolutionary attempt at discovery within the gaming industry.
And is that going to happen pretty soon?
Well, it's certainly within 3 years, that's for sure. But if it's in 12 months or 24 months, we don't know yet. We are still in the early innings of the project, and of course, funding is a big part of that.
Yeah,
and of course, to all potential investors, if this is something that you want to participate in, I mean, join our IDO when it's announced shortly.
Okay, but when is the IO going to happen? Or when do you expect it to take place? Sorry, Ricardo, you're muted.
So thank you. Okay, so we're expecting it to happen likely in the second half of March, so next month, and we will be doing our launchpad event with Gravity Finance, and then a couple of days after go on to Copper Launch, and then go on to QuickSwap and Uniswap, as a listed token. So I think it's going to be happening fast from now on. So this was the right time to have this event.
Definitely. And to our viewers, please visit Gamestate.one. You can obtain information there. I'm sure when the IEO will be happening, you're going to be notified before time. And also, if you want to get more in contact with the project, you can find below their Twitter handle, which is Gamestate_1. And with that said, we have time for one more question before our final remarks. And this, I think, is for you, Ricardo. How is the integration into the Blurt blockchain going to profit both Gamestate and Blurt?
Okay, cool. So I'm going to take a holistic approach and say, how does the integration of any project benefit, the project itself, as well as Gamestate, right? So first of all, is shared community. So there's nothing more powerful than having community, and the people of the Blurt blockchain would know that well. The bigger your community, the bigger your voice, the bigger your footprint, and the greater synergies and acceleration and growth you can have. So basically, pooling all communities together under one roof is probably the most powerful thing you can do. And from that, you basically have discovery spin-offs. You have a bigger marketplace. and visibility for everyone, and increased interaction for all projects concerned.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ricardo. Well, our time is up. But before we leave, I would like Ricardo or Peter, you can say some final words to our viewers to motivate them and get them to learn more about your project.
Yeah, sure. So all I can say is learn as much as you can about crypto and the metaverses that are being built. You will then have a clear understanding of what unique features each has to offer. Don't be passive, be active and contribute to the respective communities, and be a cog in the rolling wheel of collective growth and success. And finally, don't sleep on GameFi, don't sleep on metaverse projects. They are the clear future for mass user adoption, just like the early days of the internet. So get in while it's still early.
That is true. Peter, would you like to say something?
No, that succinctly sums up our view of this. It's still early, but don't sit on your hands. Get in now.
Definitely. Thank you very much for the Gamestate
Thank
team
you.
to join us today.
Thanks a lot, Javier.
Been a pleasure. If you have something new or just before the IO, you're more than welcome to come here, and I'm sure we can address other bunch of questions that we couldn't handle today due to time. To our viewers, thank you very much for your questions, for your feedback. Highly appreciate it. Stay safe and see you at the next show. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Ricardo. Thank you, Peter.